Hello, this is Ken Widener, author of Alcatraz, The Last Escape, and nephew of the famous Anglin brothers. I want to share that I've been enjoying the content of the Shadow Ridge School's YouTube channel.
The following program is brought to you in living color on NBC.
Hello and welcome to Out of the Shadows with Sean. I'm here with Daniel, my co-host, Gio, my co-host, and Espie, my co-host. So, what are some questions that you guys have to start off with?
I have one. I was wondering, when and where were you born?
I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I'm old. I was born in 1965, so I turned 59 this year.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah. We made it that far.
So when did you move from Michigan to out here?
2008.
Oh, wow.
Oh, I was born that year.
So you said, you kind of said that you, grew up in Detroit. How would you, describe your family growing up, around, that time?
My family was pretty awesome. I had a great dad. I had a great mom. My mom's still alive. My dad has sadly passed. I had two sisters and two brothers. We had a strong family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom until we all got old enough to kind of fend for ourselves, and then she went and had her career as well. Lots of friends. Was involved in school. My older brother was tougher, so to speak. He used to get into fights, and they used to come and find me and beat me up as a way of retribution. And it got more and more interesting as I got older. So that's what led me into martial arts. I got sick of losing.
Well, you said your mom was, a stay-at-home mom. How would you describe your parents?
Typical parents for the age, I guess. They got along well. They never got divorced. They had their fights like all parents do, but they always got together and kind of faced their challenges together.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Who influenced you the most growing up?
My dad. Yeah. He's the one that talked me out of joining the military.
He looks at me because I might join.
My dad was in Korea. He got drafted in the Korean War, and I took up a Korean martial art, so we didn't always see eye to eye on that one.
So, what influenced you to start Taekwondo?
Never had a one-on-one fight. It was always 2 or 3 or 4 or many more against me. Sometimes I didn't even know how many it was. I just knew I was getting beat. So I was a fan of wrestling, but you can't wrestle with more than 2 or 3 people. You just
No.
So I took up striking arts. So started on Taekwondo, and the original class was pre-safety gear. It was a cup mouthpiece, and you taped your fingers. And all the people in the class were police officers, security guards, bouncers, warrant officers, ex-military. There was no children. There were no women. And they were people that had to fight.
Yeah.
And they all got together and practiced fighting.
Yeah, because in those, specific jobs, you need to have that fighting experience. Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
So I had a question, actually. What is, a quote that kept you going? Because I feel like you getting beat up a lot can be really discouraging at points.
A quote.
Or a saying someone said. You talked about how your dad influenced you a lot. Was there something that he said that always stuck out to you?
This didn't come from my dad, but it came from my, I'm a scuba diver.
Oh.
I was the youngest scuba diver in my class.
Oh, wow.
Back when they had the Jacques Cousteau rigs that came over the side.
Yeah.
And I had my my open water card before I had my driver's license. I was 12.
Oh, wow.
And they put you through some really interesting tests back then because there weren't any computers yet, and you kind of had to improvise. And my diving instructor used to scream at me, "Stay in control and stay alive." And that was always his big thing, and he shouted it at you. So part of the test was they put you down on about 40 feet of water, and they come down and they mess with you. They turn your rig off. They pull out your regulator. They take your fins. They do other stuff to you, and you got to put yourself back together without going up, or you fail.
Yeah.
And that was the first part of it. And I had my very first dive at a place called Whitefish Quarry. My partner swam in front of me and ripped my regulator out of my mouth. So my regulator's in my mouth, and it's going crazy like that, and I had to do a free ascent from like 80 feet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
And I lived.
Look at you go. Look at you go. That part was to stay alive, huh?
Pretty much. Yeah. That's when you hear it the most.
Yeah.
But my dad was really big on not giving up. You don't give up on things until they're done, and sometimes that's been to my detriment because I keep going no matter what, and
That's a good.
it can be.
Yeah.
It can take
can
over
be.
your life as well,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it can be. Yeah.
So, can you tell us about some of your Taekwondo accomplishments and experiences?
Sure. Love Taekwondo. Was always more of a street fighter than a tournament fighter. To this day, I'm still more of a street fighter than a tournament fighter. But I did get into the tournament circuit. I had a blast. 2001 World Championships, I took gold in self-defense. I took silver in sparring.
Oh, wow.
I took silver in forms. Nationals, I did pretty well. The people I was competing with were going on to the Olympics.
Oh,
So we
wow.
were at pretty high levels. Had a great time. Got to see a lot of places and do a lot of things and sleep on a lot of couches and floors and bathtubs and meet a lot of great people. And it was a great character building experience across the board. And I'm still friends with a lot of them today. That's the amazing part. Martial arts, you meet people and it's really easy to be friends after you fight them.
Oh, yeah.
It is. It is. And you mutual respect. That's the basis
Yeah.
for friendship. And yeah. And if you guys both fight really hard and you come out of it the other side, it's, hey, I'm Rob. How are you? Yeah. And it goes on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you say that like you did a lot. Like you said you started scuba diving at 12, but would you change anything if you could, or like do you regret anything?
About my early life?
Yeah. Or like just life in general.
I don't think it's a question of regrets. I think everything that happens to you kind of molds you
Yeah.
into different ways. So
For sure.
I don't think it's about looking back and regretting things. You regret sometimes the things you didn't try or do.
Yeah.
But I didn't try it a lot. So I don't have that kind of where I sit and go, oh, I wonder what would have happened if what would have happened if I kind of stay focused on the present and the future.
Yeah.
But my life hasn't by any means been easy, but I don't think it's supposed to be.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So you talk about how you don't regret anything. Everything kind of happens, and that's how it shapes you and molds you. Do you have an experience in your life that has really stood out to you and made you or molded you to be the man that you are today?
An experience that molded me to be that. Well, I can tell you getting beat up a lot molded me into something that made me want to learn how to fight. My dad died of cancer, so did both my sisters, so that led me to question the health industry as a whole. What else? I don't know if I had a seminal moment of rebuilding. I've tried and failed. I couldn't even tell you how many things now. Never been afraid to crash. It's a lot harder to do when you got a family, but
Yes.
I've tried and failed on lots of things and succeeded on lots of things, Never been great at 9 to 5. I've always done better running my own businesses, and struggled a lot in California because the terrain was different out here. I don't have the same network, so to speak, so it took me a little bit longer to find my feet. But it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good run. I can tell you that martial arts is interesting in that you're developing people, and that's probably the most satisfying thing that you can do. I'm sure if you talk to the teachers here, they would tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
That developing people is probably near the top of the list. So, love my job. Glad I finally made it to a point where I'm actually trying to move up here this year, so my commute won't be 2 hours. It'll be a little quicker. Yeah. And then gonna kind of build and move forward a little stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you talked about developing people within Taekwondo. Is there anyone who kind of sticks out to you who you've been like, wow, they really developed a lot? You don't have to name drop here, but we'd love to know.
Oh God.
And how did they develop?
I've had lots of them. I can't even count. I've been doing it for 30 years, and I still get letters from people. And I have people bringing their kids, you know.
Oh, wow.
And I have people that show up after years of absence and wander back in the door. Yeah. It's a way to test yourself that life used to kind of do for you. Now everybody's into virtual reality. Well, virtual reality isn't as great as the greatest video game of all is to pad up. Go at it.
For sure. Yeah. I used to do martial arts. I didn't do Taekwondo, but I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And it does really just change your, like, thinking. It's not a thing you do, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned very quickly.
Yeah. It is different. It stands out.
And Sean, you talked about it's like a different thinking. How would you say so?
Well, because there's, like, it's a thinking because it's not just something you have to. It's something you want to do. And it's not like a punishment. It's something exciting. It's something that you look forward to. And it's a good experience because you're one-on-one with someone. It's just a way to express your emotions. You can do so many things through fighting. And it's just...
Yeah, it's a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to stress that to the students all the time. It's a performance. You're performing.
Yeah.
And the performance means there's emotional content, there should be some psychological content, you should be engaged mentally, should be engaged spiritually and physically. If you get all those pieces together, it stands out.
Yeah.
Like everybody stops and goes, "Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening over there?" Yeah.
Good. Yeah, good.
So this is also a question for me, but what impact has Taekwondo and martial arts had on your life?
Well, in a lot of ways, Taekwondo especially is an anchor. If your life gets crazy, it always anchors you into reality, like your kids do.
Yeah.
Taekwondo does the same thing. Nothing is ever going to bother you as much as getting kicked in the face. It kind of puts things in perspective for you as you go through. If you're having a particularly bad day, you can always take it out on the ring.
Yeah.
You know, someone else having a bad day, you're having a bad day, you work it out.
Yeah, that's kind of like what I was trying to like form together is like no matter what happened that day, it's a different atmosphere.
It stays at the door.
Yeah, it stays there.
Yeah, it's they call it lazy man zen. When you're training, nothing else matters. No. And if you're training with a weapon, whatever it is, nothing else matters but what you're doing at that moment. And it kind of blocks out all of the static.
Yeah.
It kind of blocks out all of the noise as people go through it. You want to learn about focus and concentration? Pick up a real sword. Start moving it around. See how focused you get.
Yeah.
If you're wondering if you can study really hard, try facing a knife exam with real knives the next day and see how late you stay up and practice. Yeah.
I would say Taekwondo for me definitely changed my life. I've met some of my best friends training. Definitely had an impact. I definitely want to pursue it as a career and as a future.
Yeah.
And, you know, some days are bad, some days are good. I've been kicked in the face, ribs. There's days where my body just completely shut down, but I love it on my heart.
Or what advice in general?
So typically when people walk through the door, they're looking to solve a problem.
Yeah.
Whether it's a problem with their child or a problem with themselves or they've got a problem coming up and they need to learn to fight. I've had people walk in the door that are being stalked and saying, I want to learn how to defend myself. I've had people walk in the door with their child and say, well, you know, they're having trouble kind of figuring out how things work. Usually in a problem-solving mode, so to speak. I always tell them it doesn't matter where you start. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what you start with, start and start moving forward. That boldness in itself leads to development, and it leads to positive thinking. When you're moving in a direction, even if you're sore, even if you're bruised, even if you hurt all over, you know you're making progress. And pain in pursuit of progress is acceptable. Yeah. Pain in pursuit of nothing is suffering. Yeah. So as long as you're moving forward, even if you're still getting bullied at school or whatever, you're making progress towards that, and you know you've got that goal in mind. Yeah. And once you get the goal in mind, you start moving towards it. Yeah. And we've had lots of kids that have come in the door that have gotten bullied that usually by that time they hit about green, I think, it usually goes away. That's pretty much how it rolls.
That's the whole reason I started martial arts. Yep. I got bullied in the bathroom. It wasn't fun, but I learned how to defend myself, and I'm not scared no more. So.
That's how it starts, right? Now, the thing is that transfers on to later on in life when you get bullied in the workplace or whatever. You know how to fight. That conversation changes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it changes to the point where you're like, look, I don't want to do anything to you, but if you make me defend myself,
Then I will.
50-50, you come through it.
I don't want to, but if I have
Right,
to, I have to.
I can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of like you saying, going back to that mindset of like, hey, like maybe in work or even with school, it's hard, but you got to keep going and keeping that goal in mind. Like, hey, I'm going to graduate, or hey, I'm going to get a passing grade on this
Right.
class or something like that. So
Definitely.
it's definitely very good.
The whole reason for belts is that it's a step. You keep stepping towards it in small increments. Because if you just set the goal as you're trying to get to be proficient, there's no measurement. You have to measure what's getting done. And there has to be a valid measurement so that you see the next rung. Even though it's just out of reach, you can see it and grab it and pull yourself up. And then the next one, see it and grab it and pull yourself up. So that's how it's designed. So it's incremental, but it's continuing over a long period of time.
And it's a great mindset to have.
Agreed. It pulls a lot of people out of the dark, so to speak. Yeah.
Well, I think that you gave some very great advice. You helped me think different. You said some very inspiring words and said some things that actually clicked. And thank you. Thank you for coming out.
You're welcome. You guys can all wander across the street and check it out if you want. Okay, by me. We've had lots of people that were students from this school over there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We have so many.
Just pointing around. Yeah. It's not far. It's free to come down and check it out. I always encourage people to do it. I think martial arts is for everybody. I think the oldest student I have right now is 68,
Oh, wow.
I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Phenomenal people, too.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess
Yeah.
it's never
That-
too late to learn, right?
No. And you would be amazed at what you can accomplish regardless of your circumstance. We've had blind people, deaf people, people that are physically handicapped. I had a student that had part of his leg missing, was shot off. And we regenerated it. He started getting feeling back and everything from training.
Wow.
Yeah, lots of interesting things happen when you set off on the course. So don't worry about what you don't have. Right.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming out, and thank you for coming down and sharing your mind. So,
Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yes,
This
of
was
course.
awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yes, it was great.
We just finished a jiu-jitsu cycle, so I used to train with Espie Brown. So to speak.
Hey, I'm over here. I used to go over here. It's like right here.
There's always something fun here at Shadow Ridge School.
Hi, it's in Shadow Ridge School, the best indie in the HD.
Hi, my name is Aaliyah Fowler, and I'm from Shadow Ridge, the best indie school out here in Hesperia. You know what it is.
I go to Shadow Ridge School, the best indie in HD.